What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six podcast, CBS Sports NFL podcast. This show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. I'm Will Brinson. I'm joined by John Breech. Ryan Wilson is doing some kind of draft show, sellout. And, of course, the power ranking practitioner himself, Pete Prisco. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you're listening to any of the various podcast platforms, give us a 5-star review. One back in the feed, we have a New Year's recap. New Year's Eve, myself, Breech, and Wilson broke down almost all of week 17, including the dangerous Texans and CJ Stroud banging on the playoff door. Let's dive into Pete's week. Oh, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Happy New Year, Pete.
By the way, don't say Happy New Year because it's expired.
Happy New Year, pal.
Wait, what? When does the window expire?
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, then done.
I told somebody on HQ yesterday, I was like, make sure if you see Pete in the hallways at the office on like the 10th to tell him Happy New Year.
You know, it's funny. When I used to go to games in the playoffs, I'd be like the third week of the playoffs, and I'd see somebody I hadn't seen. They go, "Hey, Pete, Happy New Year." I go, "That was about 25 days ago. What are you talking about?"
I feel like the first 5 days of the year, if it's somebody you see regularly, is fine. Like, how many people told you Happy New Year in the office today?
A couple. And I told them, I said, that was yesterday.
Right. But I mean, like, it's their first time they see you every week. It's their first time seeing you in the office.
New Year. This is like a whole different segment of
Happy New Year. What do you, come on. It's just like a resolution.
Oh, my goodness.
Have you ever made a resolution you kept?
Twice.
Which one? What were they?
I made a resolution to stop drinking soda, and I just don't drink it anymore unless it's with alcohol. But I don't.
But that's not really a resolution. I just
but
mean
you do drink it with alcohol.
Well, but I don't drink that often.
Drink
what
soda
was the other one?
often, not alcohol. What was the other one? To drink more alcohol with soda.
Right. He doubled dipped.
What was your second one, Breech?
I don't remember.
I just
you don't remember? That's a lie. You said two.
Vodka.
You definitely remember.
He got healthier, Brinson. He switched to straight vodka.
Yeah, that's right. Now he just chugs tequila. Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge on resolutions. I think that there's some value to it if you're specific about it, but a lot of times it can be, I'm going to lose weight. Go to the gym more often. And like that's so vague and nebulous that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
You know what the best resolution of all is? Just enjoy your damn life while you're alive every year. You know what I mean? Here we are. It's 2024. Woo! It's going to be the greatest year of all time. Every year should be the greatest year of all time. Make the most of all of it. Because believe me, when you get to my age, there ain't that many left.
I did see a funny tweet
from Prisco.
From well, you know, this calls out various media members, so I'm not going to read it. But Rob Pizzola, day one of 2024, redacted calls LSU Wisconsin under his favorite bet of the year. Market seems heavily against him. Gets smoked. Redacted can't figure out why he's getting served up ads based on his search history while viewing the ESPN NFL standings. Redacted calls Alabama and Texas to win by 7+. Both lose outright. Redacted posts terrible thread on betting NFL incentives in Week 18 before market is even open. We're off to an incredible start, folks. I mean, hey, look, if that's we got some good football yesterday. Alabama, Michigan, and Washington, Texas were great football games.
You know what's great though, and that was good football, really was. And you know me, I'm a stickler for stupid coaching. Okay, let's go to stupid coaching 101. What the hell did Jim Harbaugh call timeout at the end of the game?
That was so weird.
And nobody explained it. I haven't seen an explanation of it anywhere. And then you're Washington, you're up 10, your quarterback shredding everybody. What are you running a flea flicker for? What are they doing? And then at the end of the game, if they take 3 knees, there's 16 seconds left, and that the game's basically over. What the hell were they doing? They ran a play, the guy got hurt, and they had to stop the clock.
Unbelievable. The Harbaugh thing at the end of by the way, I think Harbaugh might be doing the Tom Brady secret boycott of ESPN. Because remember Desmond Howard got mad at Pete Thamel on College Game Day because Pete Thamel didn't do the reporting in the Michigan crowd. Well, Harbaugh, at his post-game interview, Holly Rose like, Coach, he's like, yeah, this guy better than us. All right, here's JJ McCarthy. He was like, what? That was weird. And then he gets up there. Reese Davis is like, he's like, Jim, that second half aggression on offense and the big fourth down going for it. What was that? He was like, Happy New Year, everybody. And who's got it better than us? You said it best. Nobody. All right, I'm out of here. It was like, what? What is happening here?
He always pawns the player off. He doesn't. He's done that his whole career.
Okay.
That's who he is.
I'm a Harbaugh fan. I hope he wins the national championship and leaves Michigan and comes back to the NFL. What about you?
Chargers. Chargers.
You think it's going to happen?
If they want to pay, if they pay, that's the question. Are they going to pay?
He just wins everywhere he goes.
He's got $12.5 million a year on the table at Michigan. I think the Chargers have to show up with at least 15 to pry him away, especially if he's coming off a national title.
Well, I mean, reportedly,
how many jobs have that built-in quarterback when they're open like that? Not many.
True. Never. And remember what Harbaugh did with the 49ers when he arrived there? Speaking of the 49ers, they're the number 2 team in your power ranking. The Ravens up to number 1. Ravens maintained their number 1 spot after smacking the creep out of the Dolphins. They locked up the number 1 seed. Niners have locked up the number 1 seed in the NFC. So you're going to see both those teams get a bye. Do you think we end up seeing them meet in the postseason in the Super Bowl, Pete?
No, I do not.
Why not?
I think this season has been so weird that the playoffs are going to be even weirder.
Rams and Bills, baby. Rams and Bills.
This might be one of those years where we see 1 6 or 7 seed make a run. And I don't know who it is, but one of them might make a run.
Rams and Bills.
Or a 5 even. I mean, it's just so, so hard to predict. It really is. Every week in and week out. Would it surprise you to see the Bills go to the Super Bowl?
I just said Rams and Bills. No.
Yeah, I don't know if the Rams. I mean, the Bills at least could have home game. The Rams will have no home game. That's
the Bills also could miss the playoffs. The Rams are in the playoffs.
Do you think that? Okay. Do you think the Bills missed the playoffs, Breech?
No, I think they win Sunday night, but I would not. I wouldn't bet money on them winning because I'm not as confident as I think I should be.
I think the Bills win Sunday. And yeah, the Bills I just think, to me, Pete, this is a year where you do have, look, Lamar Jackson's awesome. He's an elite quarterback. There's no question about it. He's playing great from the pocket. Ravens defense is awesome. If he doesn't play on Sunday against the Steelers, Breech pointed this out on the recap show. He could miss. He could be like not play football for like 3+ weeks. It sort of feels like the Ravens are that team. And I mean, we were going to talk about the Pop-Tart Bowl mascot. I feel like NC State really got hurt by, not that the Pop-Tart Bowl matters, but like it's one of those where having that much time to sit out.
Yeah, but let's not forget that they've also he hasn't been great in the postseason either. That's a proving ground for him. That's another caveat in the whole thing. So, and Purdy hasn't had a postseason. I mean, he got hurt in his postseason game. I mean, he had some, but he hasn't had much.
Right.
So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, I think it's wide open. It really is. It wouldn't surprise me to see. I mean, when the playoffs start, it's going to be hard to eliminate anybody from making a run, in my mind.
Right. Well, think about the NFC. We're going to have, assuming that now that the Eagles have left things wide open, you have the Cowboys hosting a 7 seed. That could be, could it be Green Bay or Minnesota?
It could be Green Bay. It could be the Rams.
Right. Could be the Rams.
It could be the Vikings. It could be the Saints. They literally have 5 different teams they could play.
Right. But I'm telling you that I know Dallas has been great at home. Matthew Stafford or Jordan Love, just because of how hot they can get, can go in there and beat Dallas in Dallas. Now, conversely, I know Matthew Stafford can go into Detroit and win. Like that game we have to get that game. I really want that game. And then I think, the Eagles could easily lose in Tampa Bay or in New Orleans. Like that's how poorly they're playing right now. So all of a sudden you can have total chaos, and that means you could get, let's say the Cowboys win in the 2 spot, and then all of a sudden you've got the Rams going to San Francisco. And I know San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan have owned Sean McVay in the regular season. They did get him in the playoffs. Like, I don't think it'll be a cakewalk for San Francisco by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and if you go to the AFC, okay, I could throw Jacksonville out there if they win the division. Okay, they're getting Kirk back. They got Cam Robinson back. They're getting Zay Jones back. They're going to have Trevor Lawrence back. If they get in they could beat the Browns. That's who they'd play at home. They hung with the Browns the first time they played them. They should have won that game. They
can absolutely beat the Browns. The Browns could also absolutely beat the Jaguars.
And then if Jacksonville was the 4th team to win, and say the 2, who would be the 2? The 2 would be Buffalo would beat the 7. That would be who would Buffalo would beat
the Colts or the Texans.
The Colts or Texans or the Steelers. They would beat them. The 3 would be beat the 6. I think would be who would that be? That would be
the Chiefs and Dolphins. If you think
Chiefs beat the Dolphins, so then Jacksonville will go play the 1 seed. They have no chance against the Ravens.
But I mean, I do agree that like there's a lot of chance for chaos. Now,
but I will say this though. Having said that, when Jacksonville played the Ravens, they had 4 scoring opportunities inside the 30-yard line in the first half and came away with nothing. Remember?
Well, Pete, I'll say this because you mentioned that I actually think Jacksonville played much better against the Ravens than they did against the Browns, even though the Browns game was closer because they kind of got a couple scores in garbage time to make that close. But as you pointed out, Jaguars played a great first half, but just made too many dumb mistakes with the missed field goals, the botched clock management that cost them a field goal. The Trevor Lawrence fumble where nobody touched him. I mean, just all these bizarre things. But since we're talking about the Ravens 49ers, let me ask you this. Since you don't think they'll be facing each other in the Super Bowl, who do you think has the better chance of getting to the Super Bowl out of those 2 teams? Do you think the path is easier in the AFC or the NFC?
I think it's easier in the NFC. I think it's
I agree.
much easier in the NFC.
In the NFC.
Okay, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They're still the defending champs. They still have Mahomes. The Bills with Allen, if they get in there and win the division, they're going to be tough to beat. Miami could get hot as hell on offense. We know that. When they have Waddle and Hill there, they can score on anybody.
And Mike McDaniel's only a playoff game that we've seen of him, he nearly took down the Bills with Skylar Thompson.
And Joe Flacco's playoff history tells you he can get hot as hell, and they can rush the passer. So I think it's much easier in the NFC.
I agree. And it's like, if let's say you run into the number 1 buzzsaw, you can say whatever you want about Lamar Jackson's playoff history. I think he's a different quarterback this year than he has been in years past. I think that offense is different and the defense is great. Like, I think there's more paths to beating San Francisco than like if you're a team that's running hot and you get the 49ers down 14 points, I think Brock Purdy's in a bad spot. I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are capable of coming back from that a little more easily just because of the type of player he is and what
probably.
He does.
But again, he's got to prove it in the postseason. It's a big postseason for him. Number 1 seed, you got to go win those games.
And to Prisco's point about his struggles, Lamar has started 4 playoff games, and the Ravens have averaged 13 points per game in those playoff games. So
there's some context to those games, though. Like the Chargers game, they got caught a White Hart Chargers team, and Lamar had been inserted midway through the season.
Start, though, he'd only started half the season. You give him something.
And then the Titans game, they had too much time
where they were the number 1 seed and favored by 10 points. What's their excuse there, Brinson?
Well, the excuse there was, and it was whoever gets a double-digit lead in this game is going to roll because neither team is built to come back.
Well, you're number 1 seed. You should be trailing.
You're at home, and you don't play well. What was his numbers in that game?
Oh, he was terrible. Look, Dean.
No, he ended up throwing for like 400 yards because they were playing from behind because they were trailing by 3 touchdowns.
Right. But I'm saying like he was like he couldn't throw to the outside. The offense wasn't built to. That offense with Greg Roman wasn't built to come back. Is all I'm saying.
So you shouldn't be trailing as you're a 10-point favorite at home, as Pete just said. You shouldn't have been in that situation. And then they lost to the Bills in the divisional round. In the 2020 season. That was a 17-3 game in Buffalo.
Weird year 2020.
You're going to chalk that up because they actually won a playoff game that year. So should we not count that, or do we count it?
And then I know you mentioned that, but I'd be curious to see what Flacco averaged in the postseason when he was there. I bet he 20 something, and you'd think that those teams were all heavily on defense, right? You would think.
Yeah. Oh, then Lamar didn't play against Cincinnati last year either.
I was going to say, you could argue that the Ravens' best playoff game in Lamar's tenure was against the Bengals, that they probably win if there's not a 99-yard fumble return for a touchdown.
Man, Lamar's been sacked. Or he started 4 games in the playoffs. How many times do you think he's been sacked in the playoffs? 4 games, 1 and 3 in those games.
I think the Chargers got him a bunch because they
did.
What? Yeah.
So they got him 7 times.
Yeah, I knew they got him a bunch. So he's been sacked 14 times?
19 times in four playoff starts. That's no good. Okay.
And one quick thing too is that I feel like they've also run into these buzzsaws of
hot teams.
Well, not even hot teams, because it's not like the Titans went on and went to the Super Bowl, but more of pretty smart defensive minds. Sean McDermott is a very smart defensive mind. Mike Vrabel is a very smart defensive mind. So the smart defensive guys who had time to sit down and say, all right, we have to, this isn't a regular season game where I'm spending 90% of my time on Lamar Jackson.
Gus Bradley did a good job.
Yeah, Gus Bradley was the Chargers defensive coordinator. So that's three.
I'll tell you this too. On the 2019 game, I remember Pete coming on this podcast and saying that Dean Pease, and I can't remember exactly why you had this take, but you were like, Dean Pease's defense is built to contain this. Because Dean Pease had gone against the Kaepernick and the 49ers, and basically the same offense with Greg Roman, and had done a really good job, being able to sort of reduce.
Bradley, Gus Bradley was the Chargers stopped him.
You had a Dean Pease take, I swear.
I don't remember that one, but it was Gus Bradley, because Gus Bradley he used a different style that game to slow him down.
He had 8 defensive backs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's so when you have we're talking 3 losses against 3 very good defensive coaches. So you kind of look around in the AFC and who's that kind of, you have Spagnuolo with Kansas City. You have McDermott still with Buffalo. Cleveland has a very good defense. So you do have teams that I think
Jim Schwartz is Cleveland's defensive coordinator.
Right. So, so there's 3 very good defense. Vic Fangio in Miami. So, I mean, and yes, Miami just got rolled, but again, the playoffs are different when they're just going to sit down and get crazy on paper and say, all right, we've got to be different to stop Lamar.
I don't disagree with that at all. I do think that part of why, one, the offense had stagnated under Greg Roman, but 2, I think this is why they brought in Todd Monken, is that they needed to be able to win in the playoffs by throwing the football. And then if they need to, they can activate Lamar's legs. But this has not been a Lamar, 2019 was very much a Lamar is running, and then we'll build the passing game off of the threat of Lamar running with play action stuff, with read options, RPOs, etc. This is much more of a Lamar is in control of this passing attack, and then the running game kind of builds off of it. So I do think
he's a better quarterback now than he was then.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that the style of offense and how the fact that he's a better quarterback, which he is, gives me much more lends more credence to the idea that the Ravens are not.
You think it's going to be Baltimore and San Francisco then?
I think it's going to be Buffalo and the Rams.
Well, you picked that before the season, so you're sticking to it. But
I had Buffalo and 49ers before season.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You're jumping ship on.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I mean, I'll take Buffalo and the 49ers. I hope that's right. I hope I look like a genius.
I had Jacksonville and the 49ers, and I don't like it.
Anybody have the Cowboys, Breech?
I have the Cowboys. I'm glad I have the Cowboys. I'm fine with it.
Well, and I stuck with my pick. The Cowboys are now the number 3 team in the power rankings, Breech.
The Cowboys are the number 3 team in the power rankings.
Who should be?
Look, Pete, here's my question.
Breech pod.
The refs bailed them out on Saturday. I am the number 1 Cowboys defender in the world. I am BreechBot 3000. But look, if they had lost on Saturday, that would have been 3 straight losses. If you want to move the Cowboys up a spot or 2, I get it. But 6 spots to number 3? What is going on here? To Jerry Jones?
Here's why.
How much did he pay you?
Okay, you keep talking about, everybody talks about the end of that game. What about the stupid tripping penalty that didn't really happen? The game would have been over. We would have never had that stuff happen at the end of the game. So, everybody always goes crazy about a certain call, and it was obvious because they were trying to. Okay, the Lions were trying to dupe the Cowboys, and they ended up duping themselves. How about that? Nobody ever says that.
No, that's fine. I'll give that to you, but still, it's a 1-point win.
My buddy Adam Gold said that on radio today. He was like, if the Lions just play this straight up and don't go try to be sneaky with the, so-and-so's eligible and so-and-so's eligible. If you just run the play where you've got Taylor Decker, you're just like, Taylor Decker's eligible, we're not being sneaky. The Lions are still not looking. I mean, the Cowboys are still playing defense against Amon St. Brown and Sam Laporta. They're not looking for the linemen.
There was no need for that. For that. Plus, it was announced that Skipper was the eligible player, so the Cowboys obviously didn't think that Decker was eligible.
Right. Well, and I think that's the reason we haven't heard the NFL say anything, because they don't feel the need to. It's like, the ref didn't really do anything wrong here. It was just a bizarre situation. But as Prisco said, the bigger call definitely was when they called a tripping on the Cowboys when it was clearly a tripping on Hutchinson, which
because they had a first, that would have been a 2nd and 2.
Well, who knows? Maybe
there wasn't a 15-yard penalty because it was tripping, so it knocked them back 15 yards, and then he threw it, which was dumb to begin with.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Mike McCarthy, so let's not say that it would have been a lock to be over because maybe he calls a pass play on 3rd and 2.
No, he would have run the ball again, and then they would have got a first down, and the game's over. It wouldn't even come down to that situation. So
how concerned are you? And look, the guy's got a Super Bowl win. He deserves credit for what he's done in Dallas this year. I know he's your boy. I'm not dragging him. I'm saying Mike McCarthy tends to get conservative in the playoffs. How concerned are you with Mike McCarthy?
Not. This is Dak's a different guy now. I mean, they could throw it around. No, I'm not.
How dangerous are the Cowboys?
Conservative how, by the way, with you're talking about in Green Bay when he was in Seattle and he kicked the field goals. And you know what? If it doesn't come down to this stupid onside kick, he wins the damn game. He did it right. That's the game you won. Catch the onside kick and the game's over. So it clearly the strategy worked. What didn't work is the moron who touched the onside kick.
Fair.
Which game are we talking about?
In the playoffs.
When Martellus Bennett was
every analytics.
The NFC title game. The NFC title game.
Anybody goes back, the analytics guys all go back. Oh, if he hadn't kicked the field goals, he would have won the game. He's in a position to win the game. But all he has to do is recover an onside kick. So did the analytics work of kicking those 2 field goals? Of course they did.
Well, he lost, so no. I'm just kidding. I do think that Mike McCarthy, by virtue of some of the losses and look, Sean Payton didn't catch the same crap, but because he's just sort of a different approach as a coach. But if you look at some of these losses, like the Saints had those 3 just insane losses back to back to close out Drew Brees' career. And then the Packers had sort of the same thing. There's 3 insane back to back losses, like with Rodgers in the playoffs. Sometimes playoff games and I think McCarthy stuff is compounded by the final plays against San Francisco the last 2 years, which haven't necessarily, the first one with the Dak run and they didn't have the time. That one's a little bit like the Lions and the 2-point conversion stuff. Last year with the Zeke snap, that was just, they weren't going to win the game.
By the way, we we're giving crap for guys kicking field goals. You think Dan Campbell would have liked to have his field goal that he passed on in the first half at the end of that game? Would any of that other crap have mattered if he had kicked the field goal when he needed to kick the field goal?
Or how about you kick the extra point when you're on the 7-yard line?
Yeah, that was another issue.
I mean,
the situation Prisco's talking about is the 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. It's not like this was the 1 or 2. But the NFC title game, just real quick, going back to that game where the Packers blew 16-0 lead in the second half. That was a situation where McCarthy had 4th and goal at the 1-yard line twice in the first quarter. You have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. That's why you're at the 1-yard line twice. Go for a touchdown the first quarter.
And do they win the game if the guy catches the onside kick?
Yeah, yes. So you're pitting it on that one play when I'm pitting it.
Because it's played out the way it was supposed to play out.
No, because if you get a touchdown, either of situations, it doesn't come down to an onside kick.
It's played out the way it was supposed to.
You talking about the tripping call where none of the other stuff would have mattered if the tripping had been called correctly.
What was the score when Seattle came back? What was the score when Seattle got the onside kick, came back and won the game?
Well, the Packers were up 19-7 at one point.
Right.
And then they scored a touchdown to make it 19-14. Then they kicked the onside kick, recovered, went down and scored again to make it 22-19. But then the Packers tied it and went to overtime, so they still could have won in overtime.
Look, hindsight is 20/20. It always is. Just like in the next segment, how we're going to show Pete. You actually haven't seen these. These are our bold predictions from the podcast before the season, and we're going to have you grade how bad our bold predictions were next.
Pete gets a ripoff.
The Scudetto, where the soul of Italy meets the pinnacle of calcio. Catch Serie A on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
Hindsight is 2023 or 2024, as Harry put in the chat. So we did some bold predictions before the season. Now, Pete, bear in mind, these are not intended to be like they're not intended. You're not supposed to be right. Okay. Like
you're going to say somebody rushes for 3,500 yards. That's a bold prediction. I mean, you can't. How?
Right. Well, it would be. I think like Tyreek Hill. I don't think anybody had this one, but Tyreek Hill breaks the single season receiving yards record.
That's not that bold. So,
well, we looked him up with the odds. It had to be like 15-1 or greater.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to start. We mentioned the Cowboys before. We're going to start.
Mine go downhill after this. Mine go.
Yeah, this is about as good as
my only good one. Thanks for starting nice.
And producer Harry has done some awesome sort of musical work. Pete, I know how you love the harp. Let's hear Breech's first bold prediction.
Dak Prescott wins MVP.
Okay.
He is plus 2,500 odds.
All right, Pete. Hold on, Pete. Pete, you were going to. I think we had some stuff we were going to say, oh yeah, you're going to rank smart, stupid, or what the hell were you thinking? Based on these.
That's smart.
I think so too.
Smart.
I think it's a really good one.
And you know what? He was in the conversation for a long time.
Yeah.
So that one's smart. We'll give.
I think like we did MVP ballots for the site today, and I think I see Dak as a second vote in multiple spots. Wow, Dak's gonna end up being like where is Dak on your ballot right now, Pete? Who's your top 5 as of today?
I don't know. My top is Lamar because he's going to.
Yeah,
win.
Lamar's. He's not going to be unanimous, but it's going to be close.
It'll be Lamar. Josh Allen will be in there.
Josh Allen's my
McCaffrey / Purdy and Dak. Those are the guys. Right?
You're going to have McCaffrey. What about Stafford? Did he freeze, or did he just get disgusted, or is he?
I thought he got disgusted. Oh my god!
So you froze.
Stafford's not in the top 5.
I don't see how you can have Purdy and CMC in the top 5 when they're on the same team and one guy's thrown to the other.
Yeah, you could have both of them.
No, you should have Stafford in the top 5.
Did you have Tua, or did he play himself out of last week?
I debated between Tua and CMC for number 5. I sent mine and it was Lamar, Stafford, Allen, Dak, and CMC.
You have Stafford second?
Nobody else is voting for. I'm trying to make this push. I need you to vote for Stafford because
of his bold prediction.
Do you want to go ahead and go to Harry? I don't know if we can go to this one or not, but I'm going to try it. We can throw out one of my bold predictions was that Matthew Stafford would what? My bold prediction is that Matthew Stafford receives at least one MVP vote in 2023.
I mean,
now the catch here though is that it doesn't have to be a first place vote, just any vote.
Hey, I didn't think that was that bold because somebody
he's like 45-1 to win it.
Yeah, but you get to rank 5 people.
Get a vote. You got to vote one. You're down the line a little bit.
Dude, Stafford getting an MVP vote before the season. The Rams win total was 7.5.
Yeah,
Harry cut these
short. What the hell is going to happen in this league? No, that's not. You know what? That's not that bold.
Are you saying it's stupid, or what the hell were you thinking? I think you're saying it's stupid.
No, it's not stupid. I think it's actually not that. It's actually pretty smart, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, Pete, thank you.
Smart, but not bold.
All right. Well, I don't want to make myself look too good. So how about I show you one involving the Atlanta Falcons? The Atlanta Falcons will finish with the most wins in the entire NFL.
Oh, come on.
Now that was just grade A stupidity. I mean, there are some things that you say for clickbait, but I can't even give you credit for clickbait because it's the Falcons. They don't have a huge following. So no, there's no. What were you thinking? What do you think? Desmond Ridder was going to turn into Patrick Mahomes?
No. Here's the thought process. They had. And I mean, I stand by this looking at the schedule. After they played the Jaguars in week 4, they were 2-2, and they'd played their 2 hardest games of the entire year against Detroit and Jacksonville. They beat Houston. They lost to the Commanders. at home by 8 points. They lose to the Titans in a single one-score game. They lose to the Vikings in a one-score game. They lose to the Cardinals. No, but the idea was if they utilize their weapons and if Bijan Robinson is like baby Derrick Henry, I mean, you lose to the Titans, Vikings with no quarterback, and the Cardinals in 3 straight games.
That was a stupid one. That was a really stupid. You can't don't try and justify it. It was a stupid one.
I'm just saying that they have a bunch of one-score games. Arthur Smith
it was so stupid.
Yeah, it was like 60-1. It was a long shot,
and you lost all that money.
Yeah.
Oh boy, now comes my super prediction.
Breech had something to say about Harry's Miami Dolphins in the AFC East.
But my bold prediction here is that the Miami Dolphins finish in last place in the AFC East.
You know what? They were never finishing in last place. The Patriots always were, but I think I had them finishing third. So I don't, what the hell do I know? But if Aaron Rodgers plays, do they finish third?
I think so. That's the clarification here. Is that I had the Dolphins finishing at 9 and 8 in last place, assuming that they lost to the Jets twice. So if Aaron Rodgers had been out, I had known that. Obviously, I wouldn't put him in last place. So
yeah, that kind of gets an asterisk next to it, I think, because
I'll take that.
By the way, one quick thing, Breech, when would you guys film that?
When did we film what?
Breech looks like a different human being.
He does. You've aged 20 years and during the football season. What the hell's wrong with you?
September 10th. You also look like, I think you look like you've lost weight during the football season. You were bulkier then.
I mean,
he looks all clean shaven and like cheery and happy. He got beat down by the season.
It's my hair. I had just gotten a fresh haircut, and now I'm not getting a haircut until the Super Bowl. So we've got to wait a couple weeks.
Why would you wait till the Super Bowl to get your haircut?
Well, I'm going to wait till a few weeks, till like 2 more weeks.
I don't know. If we could put if Harry could put up side by sides, it's amazing how much younger and fresher you look in September than you do now.
You look kind of jacked though, in that you look like you were had been working out like beefy, and I don't know. And now
I let it all go, guys. That's what happens when you have a 3-year-old and you're trying to do this job working 70 hours a week during the season.
Or it's just the job. Like we used to say, fat ball season. Remember, Brinson? Fat ball season.
Oh, yeah.
It beats you down. You're eating bad food. You're doing this and that. It's just bad. It beats you down. But yeah.
And I'm getting on Ozempic for January, so I look okay at the Super Bowl.
You should. By the way, you look so different though. I'm not saying if it's good or bad. You just look like a different dude.
We're also coming off a weekend where I drank more than I usually do. So I think my body's still trying to push out the alcohol.
Wait, are you talking about you currently are, or you were then?
Yeah, this past weekend. New Year's Eve weekend.
I don't think you look bad. I think you just look very. All right, look, when the next one comes up.
I didn't drink on New Year's. I drank Friday night.
That's a good plan.
I'm just saying.
I went to see Dave Chappelle.
What?
Yeah.
How was that?
Not that good.
Are you serious?
Disappointing.
I'm not sure you're his target audience.
Was it his new special?
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle. I think his show's great. This one was not. It was almost like, well, he just kept losing his train of thought. I don't know. You know, he was drinking during the show.
The new stand-up special he did is good, but it's not like it's a little. It feels a little looser. Like a little less.
I don't know. Just what it wasn't. It wasn't what I expected it to be.
Did he tell the Jim Carrey joke?
No, he did not.
Have you heard that joke?
Yeah, I heard it. But he's great. He just wasn't great that night, and it was a little disappointing. Just like I saw Jeselnik a couple weeks ago, a month ago.
That?
He's one of my all-time favorites, and his wasn't as good.
Really?
I think
you should have hit up. Should have gone. Yeah, Rosenthal and Jeselnik were roommates in college.
I love Jeselnik. I think he's hysterical. Yeah. But so I went to 3 shows in the last 3 months. I saw Dave Chappelle, paid way too much for that. Saw Anthony Jeselnik, who I really love, and I saw Chicago. For 3 hours they played. By far and away, the best show was Chicago. It wasn't even close.
Okay, I've got an AFC prediction as well. Well, it's be a. You know what? Wait, do we want to? Let's see. We need to get one more here first. Breech. Breech had a prediction about the AFC South.
Here, Brinson's Jags do not finish as the number 1 overall seed because they don't even win their division. Yeah, Tennessee wins the AFC South.
I forgot that the order may have spoiled what mine was, but
yeah, I mean, okay, it's not that stupid because the Titans are always tough, and you figure they're going to win 9-10 games every year. So that wasn't. I can't say that one's that dumb.
It's not that dumb either because and this is like how I try to look at these bowl predictions too. Is like the premise was that the AFC South is way more wide open than you think it is. Like people are like it was people. The Jags were like minus 170, and we got 3 9-7 teams going into Week 18 in the AFC South. It just happens that Tennessee went 0-5 in the division is not one of them. And
also 5 of their losses were by 4 points or less.
But
you can do that with almost every team.
No, a lot of the time it's one score. We're talking 4 points or less. I mean, that was my point about the Falcons too. Is like the Falcons were going to be baby Tennessee and just sort of like have these games that were, and that's part of the danger and the fragility when you build your roster that way too. Like you are not guaranteeing yourself. Like the Dolphins are going to win several games each year by just blowing somebody out. The Titans and the Falcons are never going to blow anybody out, really. I think the Falcons
don't have the quarterback.
Yeah, Titans had that one win over the Bengals, 28-3, I think. But that's what it. Okay, the final one for me, which would be a nice springboard into the Jaguars. My Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out Duval. Finish as the number 1 seed in the AFC.
It's not stupid because you copied my paper. I told you that all summer, and I'm as stupid as you are. Mine was compounded by the stupidity of the second part of mine, which was Trevor Lawrence would be the MVP.
I think also part of it too is Jacksonville
had the easy schedule.
Well, they had the easy schedule, but then you lose to the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and Bucks 4 straight games. If you just split those games, the Jaguars are. Let's say they could have beaten the Ravens. We talked about it a minute ago. I mean, unlike they got blown out, but I mean, if you split those games, you're at 11 wins. You're not that far off of the number 1 seed in the AFC.
No, and this team, and I've told you this many a time, I think they're fat and happy. I've heard that from people that when they start playing well, the work doesn't get put in the same way. And you saw that. And then last week with their backs against the wall, and granted they're playing Carolina, but that defense looked like a different defense on tape the other day. They were flying around. They got sacks. Josh Allen, by the way, should be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He's not getting much recognition. He's second in the league in sacks with 16.5. He's been outstanding. How about this? If you told me, and I'm going to give Tony Baselli, my buddy who I do the radio show with, predicted before the season that Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen would combine for 23 to 25 sacks. And I told him, I said, if they do that, they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl. Well, they have, and they're probably not. So that tells you it went wrong on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's true. Offense has been uninspiring, to say the least. There have been little stretches and glimpses where, and that's what we talked about this last week, where teams that can just get hot. Speaking of the Jaguars playing the Super Bowl, you don't get off scot-free, Pete. Throw it up, Harry. Oh, no, the Jaguars are still alive to go to the Super Bowl, I should point out. The only 2 predictions here that are totally dead,
the Chargers.
Wilson having the Chargers over the Eagles, and Breech having the Bengals over the Cowboys. Bengals are eliminated, right?
Yes, they're eliminated. Yeah. So you keep an eye on Jacksonville in the playoffs. I'm not kidding. They're getting guys back.
Tripling down.
No, get Cam Robinson back. The offensive line will be better, healthier. Whoever plays left guard is going to be healthy, whether it's Little or Cleveland. They get Kirk back, and they get Jones back. The problem is everybody's been in and out of the lineup all year, and they had no continuity whatsoever. 0.
If I had to rank these predictions right now, I'd say Brinson's in the best spot because he has Bills 49ers. If you're listening to the audio version, we have our 6 Super Bowl preseason picks up here. I would put Dubin at number 2, Chiefs 49ers, Prisco at number 3 with 49ers Jags, Tyler Sullivan, number 4 with Eagles, Ravens. Me at number 5 with Bengals, Cowboys. And Ryan Wilson at number 6 with Chargers, Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, the only argument where you would take Dubin over me, Chiefs over 49ers, is the Bills aren't in the playoffs yet, right? I mean, like mine could be dead on Sunday night too. But yeah, I think having Bills over, and I think if the Bills get to the Super Bowl, they will beat the 49ers if they play them. I think if the Bills get to the Super Bowl, they're winning the Super Bowl. Like, if they're running that hot that they make it that far, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
So let's see how that plays out. So if they're the 2, if they win this week, they're the 2, they play the 7. That would be the
winner of the Colts,
Indy, Pittsburgh, or Houston.
They'll beat that team.
Or Jacksonville.
And then they'll
is Jacksonville out if they
No, Jacksonville wins, they're in. They win the division.
No, but if Jacksonville loses, they're out of the playoffs.
No.
Okay.
They need a weird, crazy. If Pittsburgh wins, there's a whole scenario.
If Jacksonville loses, I got in front of me. If Jacksonville loses,
Denver Raiders game factor.
They need the Steelers to lose. They need the Broncos to lose, and then Colts Titans cannot end in a tie. Cannot. Man, so I mean, someone has to win.
Right.
So there is a path. There's a path if they lose.
Well, and actually, like Broncos at Raiders, the Raiders should easily win that game.
Yeah.
Steelers at Ravens. Steelers are 4-point favorites, but we yet to see Harbaugh.
The Ravens are going to start. Now it sounds like the Ravens might play some guys.
I feel like they're going to play them for the first half and then sit them. I think they have to too.
Here's the other thing about that. There's only so many guys you can sit down. Right. I mean, guys have to play. It's not like a college roster where you have 95 guys. You got to play.
Yeah, Harry made that point. Harry made that point after the Bradley Chubb injury. Like, yeah, I mean, you want to sit everybody. You'd love to be up 30 points and sit everybody, but you can't do that. You have your rosters.
You do get your stars out of the game. These teams that keep the quarterback in. What was Tua doing in at the end of the game there? Get him out.
All right.
Wait, so Pete, what path we were going down here? You were going to say the Bills play probably. We'll say the Colts Texans winner.
Okay, they'll win that.
And then they would play probably the Chiefs, unless there's as long as there's no upsets.
Yeah, they probably play the Chiefs, and then they play, and then they'd have to go to Baltimore if Baltimore won. So yeah,
they'd host the Chiefs though.
Host the Chiefs. God, that is a tough path, man. The AFC is just brutal because normally you have this situation where, okay, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are the 1 seed. We've got to go to Arrowhead, but at least we know it's not happening until the conference championship game. And if we get that far, just go in and figure out a way to do it. Now it's like, if you're Buffalo, your reward for getting the 2 seed is, yes, 2 home games, but 1 is against the Chiefs, and then you have to go to Baltimore. Or potentially you could host if Jacksonville went into Baltimore and won, or Cleveland went.
If Jacksonville wins this week, and they're the 4 seed, there's going to be 3 teams that in the playoffs have never been to the Super Bowl. Is that right?
Jacksonville, Cleveland,
and Detroit.
The Texans, if they make it too, would be 4.
And the Texans,
yeah, wow.
Could have 4 teams that have never been to the Super Bowl in the postseason.
So how many franchises would you have that haven't won a Super Bowl? Jacksonville, Cleveland, Buffalo.
That haven't been to one.
I just meant haven't won one.
That haven't been to one.
Well, there's a lot that have never won one. 12 teams. There's 12 teams that have never won one. But never been to one is different.
Right. I've just been in the playoffs too. Like, how many have never won one? Is there?
But can you imagine what the ticket would cost if it was Cleveland and Detroit?
Oh my God. That's what we would talk about this. Do you think that CBS our bosses, like the big wigs at CBS Sports, would be happy or like miffed if it was Cleveland, Detroit?
No, they want the Cowboys.
Oh, you think so?
Well, right. But if it is Browns, Lions, Vegas would be rowdy because the fan base is
Vegas would be unhinged if it was Browns, Lions.
Every Lions or Browns fan within 3,000 miles would be in Las Vegas.
And they would be getting really, really drunk, like dirty, like Rust Belt drunk.
Yeah, it would be great from a fan standpoint for being at the venue, but from a TV standpoint, I don't think so.
I don't know though. I feel like if it were those 2 franchises who have lost so much, it's like the ultimate loser bowl. Just like one of those franchises is coming away with a Super Bowl ring, and the other is just left just completely.
The ones they don't want. They don't want Jacksonville. They never do, and they don't want the Texans.
Right. Well, on the NFC side of things, You want San Francisco,
and to
Dallas.
answer Pete's question real quick. The Browns, Lions, Jags, and Texans are the only 4 teams that have ever been to a Super Bowl.
Right.
So they all could be in the playoffs.
That's amazing.
Okay. Wow, that is amazing. I think Indy, Houston, bad. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, Kansas City, Miami, Baltimore, all good. Baltimore good? Baltimore good?
Yeah, they love Lamar. They love Baltimore.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking from a national.
Yeah, that has national relevance. Lamar's there. The MVP.
San Francisco, Dallas, Detroit, all good.
Right.
I think Detroit in the Super Bowl would be an incredible story.
It would be a great story, but from a TV market standpoint, is it a good? It's not Dallas. It's not San Francisco. It's not even Green Bay. It's not a legacy franchise like that. I mean, it is, but they haven't won, so it's not. Really
I feel like the fact that they haven't won, the stakes should be so raised.
If you had to rank the NFC teams on what the networks would want, the Lions would not be in the top 3.
What's Dallas is 1, obviously. Green Bay
49ers 2. Or Packers probably 2.
49ers, yeah.
Yeah. And even the Eagles. And even the Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles. Would the Lions be ahead of the Buccaneers?
Yes.
Lions are ahead of the Rams too, right?
Probably. But get the LA, because normally you'd say, well, you get the LA market, and the LA get that, and the LA market doesn't really care about the Rams that much either.
Also, the Rams were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Right. I think
Lions would be. I think Lions and Browns.
Rank the potential AFC teams.
From
a network.
Miami's 1, right?
No, from a network standpoint.
Kansas City.
They want Patrick Mahomes
again.
Yes.
Okay. Kansas City.
Getting Michael Jordan every year. Yes.
I would say Lamar's probably 2. The Ravens.
I think Miami's over the Ravens.
Miami would probably be 3.
Yeah.
No, if the Steelers get in, they'd be one of the top ones.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah.
But they're the 9th seed.
Mason Rudolph and the Steelers.
Jacksonville and Houston are the bottom 2, no doubt, if they get in.
Yes. And Indianapolis isn't that great either.
No.
Buffalo. I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo's up there too.
Well, like from 2 standpoints, Buffalo now they have a national type team with Josh Allen playing.
Yep.
But more than that, they would descend on Las Vegas like it was like they closed the city up.
Bills Lions would be spicy.
Hey, wait, and as our boy Clarence Yee mentioned in the comments, not only do the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, you have the Taylor Swift factor, which brings in a completely different audience.
That's a good point.
And now rating. So Chiefs Cowboys, I think, is what the
Chiefs Cowboys would be.
Chiefs Cowboys. Chiefs Cowboys is like you can't. It's a free for all. Like not just in the not the fans. It's a free. It's like the way Bills and Lions fans would behave if their teams got the Super Bowl is how executives would behave if it was Chiefs and Cowboys. All right, Pete's got to go. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Breech is going to blind rank would-be NFL competitive leagues against the NFL or something. Next. Bye, Pete.
See ya.
Out there are 2 colossal beings, both forces of nature in their own regard. But in here, as soon as the chute bursts open, the duality of man and beast begins to fade. This is PDR on CBS Sports Network.
All right. Historian Harry has come up with, Pete's gone, obviously, Breech and Brinson here, has come up with it's a pretty fun one. Blind rankings, Upstart football leagues. Breech.
Now, am I reading them to you and you're ranking them?
I'm reading them to you.
Okay.
So because I've already looked. Have you looked?
I have not looked.
Good. Okay.
I don't look at the blind rankings anymore because I know there's an 80% chance Pete is going to have to leave.
99% chance.
And that one
the
of us
first one up, the World Football League, founded in 1973, inaugural season 1974, ceased to exist 1975. The final champions, the Birmingham Americans, which is quite a name. Gary Davidson, the driving force behind the league. He helped start the ABA, the moderately successful ABA, according to Wikipedia. Please, ABA was great. ABA joined the NBA, made a bunch of money, I think, or maybe not. Either way, the World Football League did not bring any teams into the NFL. Where would you rank the World Football League, Breech?
Yeah, I'm going to put the World Football League at number 4. I'm going to go off my strategy.
I like it. I think the producer Harry may be onto the idea that it was just going to be you as well, and was thinking, all right, Breech is going to go 3 with World Football League. Next up, any thoughts on the World Football League? We were live for it.
0. Nothing.
The teams. We weren't.
I'm glad they named it after the whole world, though.
The World Football League.
Welcome to the World Football League.
They had a dickerod instead of the chain gang, according to Harry, which is fascinating.
Fun fact.
They actually signed the Toronto Northmen. These names are amazing. Signed Larry Zonka at one point.
Got it.
At this point, NFL did not have free agency either. So that was sort of part of the process, I think. All right, number 2. The XFL.
Look, when the XFL came out back in 2000 or 2001, whatever it was, Vince 2001. McMahon it was, you had to watch it. It was must-see TV, watching all the new rules, the fun-shaped football, different colors, different from the NFL. You were getting your football. It's like, if you're starting a football league, you should not copycat the NFL, because the NFL is the NFL. You're not going to beat them on skill or talent. You've got to implement new rules to make people want to watch and make it spicy. I'm going to put the XFL at number 1.
Wow.
I was that entertained by the XFL as a kid that I cannot think of another sports league. I know there's obviously other ones, but I'm putting the XFL at number 1.
The XFL is a joint venture between NBC and WWE owned subsidiary WWE Properties International. The idea being, you had eventually, by the way, sold to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but you had the idea being that it was like a wrestling style league, right? I mean, like that was like the whole thing. It was disrupt. So
you
it was
ran into the football instead of a coin toss.
Yeah. Right. That's
there insane. We go. The opening scramble, and somebody got injured on the first one ever. Great.
You need to do an off-season podcast about all these different leagues. You XFL number 1. Of course, the XFL tried to come back.
Yeah, I'm talking about the first version of the XFL.
Right. That did not.
And I'm probably going to regret this. I'm guessing there's going to be one in there. It's probably better, but I don't care because I love the XFL.
The next one up, the CBS, briefly owned by CBS Sports, or our TV partner. So I don't think it matters now, though. The Alliance of American Football, or the AAF, founded by Charlie Ebersol and Bill Polian. That's right. William Patrick Polian Jr., the man who claimed he also had a first-round grade on Thomas Patrick Edward Brady IV. That's not Tom Brady's real name. Tom Dundon was actually the guy who shut it down. Tom Dundon, the Carolina Hurricanes owner, was involved in this as well. They had some big cash behind this thing. The AAF filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy on April 17th, 2019, just about a year after they launched in March 2018. There were some pretty big horror stories about how everything ended. But, at a time, it's crazy to think, Breech, in like 2019, it was like right before the pandemic, everybody's like, we need more football leagues. And like fired them up. And it was like, oh, that's not great timing.
Yeah. So if you're describing this league by mentioning the word horror stories, that is an automatic red flag in my books. As Harry noted, Younghoe Koo did come out of this league, which is its one redeeming factor. I'm putting the AAF at 5.
Wow. What there? Troy Polamalu was involved in this league. J.K. McKay. You know who it is. All right. Finally, that means your number 2 team.
Well, there's 2 left, right?
Wait, we have 2 left. Did I skip one? Oh, I did skip one. Whoops, here it is. The USFL, founded in 1982, inaugural season 1983, ceased operations in 1986. There's a common theme about all of these. They don't last very long. It's the total opposite of the PGA Tour and LIV, in that like the LIV comes in with a bunch of money and is able to take it over NFL is very good about quashing out the opposition.
Yeah, I'll put USFL at number 2. I feel like they did well enough. They signed some of the NFL's biggest stars. I think Jim Kelly.
And then a future president as one of the owners, right?
Steve Young, Donald Trump was an owner. So the USFL was fun. So I'm going to put them at number 2.
Yeah. Reggie White.
And then they sued the NFL and won, but only got $1.
Oh, that's right.
I think
it feels like if the USFL had come around later, like the USFL was the closest one to like getting actually taking any chunk of the NFL's business, breaking through, right?
Well, they were throwing money and stealing players, but then you got to sell tickets and get your TV deal in place, and that stuff just didn't happen.
Sure did not. It's hard to build. It's hard to fight the NFL, as it turns out.
Brinson, if we would have been live in the 80s, we could have been USFL bloggers. We missed our calling.
God, remember when we were doing like AAF blogs? It was like, no, I don't think so. I'm good. They're like, hey, you got to talk about the AAF on the podcast once a week. It's like, no, I think I'm fine. Finally, the Arena Football League, the AFL, founded in 1986, 38 years ago. Still functional?
Yeah, I think it's coming back like next year. Just maybe 2025 or 2024. They just announced that in the past few months.
Yeah, so I guess technically still functional.
With that in mind, I actually love arena football. I like going to it. It's so much different than
Didn't Jay Gruden play in arena football, or is that the CFL?
Jay Gruden. Fun fact, one of my buddies from Hanover College was the AFL Rookie of the Year in 2007. Shout out to Brett Dietz. So he went from being a D3 quarterback to the AFL Rookie of the Year. He's now the head coach of the DePaul Tigers, a D3 football team. So, you know what? I'll put the AFL 3 because I don't have a choice.
That's right. All right. Good stuff. I feel like that would have been a good one for Pete. That's okay. Pete is a busy man. We can't always
refuses to show up.
And refuses to show up for the third segment of this show. We, of course, show up every day, and we'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, with our pick show for week 18. We'll have a recap show on Sunday night, and then we'll be prepping for the playoffs. You can count on us for playoff recap shows, more than you've ever dreamed of, or the usual number. That'll do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, turn on alerts. If you're just listening to the podcast, give us a 5-star review. Tell your friends. Happy New Year. For Pete, for Breech, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.